Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to another awesome live streaming about Thunderbird. Sorry for the delay. I started 7 minutes late, but I had some issues with OBS. Hopefully the issues have been solved. Let me switch to the full camera. Hey, hello everyone. Welcome. Already so many people in the chat. Hello Danny. Hello Garnet. Hello, Resonics. Perfect timing. You just joined. Yes, awesome. So, welcome to another live streaming. Do you like the new intro icon, or sorry, the new thumbnail? Thunderbird Live Hacking, episode 4. I think like before the next session, I'm gonna animate all of this thing, like animate the I don't know, like the circles around the logo, or animate the lines, or whatever. Do something funny. So. If I'm late, I'm just gonna play the animation in loop with a little 8-beat music in the background, and you guys are gonna see all the awesome stuff. So yeah, so today we're gonna do something very funny and nice. Hopefully it's gonna work. I don't know, probably it's not gonna work, but today we're gonna see the full process of implementing something new, creating a patch for it, submitting a patch, asking for a review, and running some tests to see if the patch destroyed something. So, lots of people are joining. Yay, good evening. Hello. Oh, Paxi Lexi Fixie. Hello. Good to see you again. Oh, it's so nice to see people coming back. It's beautiful. Okay. Let me show you what are we gonna do today. Change streaming here. So let's open the bug here. Yes. So we have a small problem, which is it's tiny. It's not like a massive problem, but it's something that it's slightly annoying. So first of all, let me actually show you the Thunderbird on daily, what we have right now. So Thunderbird right there. Let me open it up. Let me put it here. So the problem that we're seeing right now, that it's a problem that has been around for many years. It's the way we handle the autocomplete and the formatting when we write a new message. So for example, with this new implementation of Thunderbird in 78, we introduce a new compose message paradigm called the peels, or the recipient peels. So whenever you write an email and kicks the autocomplete, if you select the autocomplete, or whatever you write a correct email address like asked, and then you focus outside, all these messages, all these recipients, they are converted into standalone components called peels. And the peels, you can drag and drop them. If you want to move one to the CC, BCC, you can move them back, or you can copy them all together and copy paste into another field, and blah blah blah. It makes it easier and faster to use. The problem is that we're using the autocomplete is the same autocomplete that comes in your Firefox main address bar. Is exactly the same thing, but the main address bar uses a database for the autocomplete and does the search in the background. For our autocomplete, we use actually the what is this? Right, we use the address book. We just use your address book. We don't search online. We don't do anything. We just match all the names that you have in the address book, which is great, because if you type, doesn't matter what you type, if we have some match, we return it. The problem is that when you type something that doesn't match the address book, we highlight it red, because we have this thing in place called highlight on no match. It's a CSS that says if there are no matches in the autocomplete, just highlight it red, which is not great, because first of all, the red symbolizes danger, symbolizes a mistake, but it's not really a mistake, because if I write test.test.test, something like that, this is, or test.dev, this is not wrong. This is just an address that is not present in our address book, but it's a correct address. It's a legit address, so it shouldn't be highlighted red, and we shouldn't flag the user as a mistake just because we don't have it. And another issue is that once the peel is generated, then because we do a check and say this is a valid email address, we don't highlight it red. If we if I write something that is not valid, we highlight it red, which is not, also this color needs to change a little bit because it's not that obvious. So we have this situation where we write an address and it gets highlighted red, and then we generate a pill, it's not red anymore. So what is it? Is it wrong? Is it right? But then we also have another issue. So if I have my email here and my Gmail here, okay, I have all these addresses, and in this situation, let me remove the error. In this situation, how do you identify which address it's from your address book and which address is completely new? You don't know. You have no idea. You have to maybe click on edit, or like, there's no way to access the address book and see, is this something that I wrote correctly? Because, for example, if I write alex@thunderbird.com, it's still an address, but it's not the correct address because it's thunderbird.net. So I don't know if, like, I misspelled an address, which is still valid, but it's not the right address, and it's not the one that matches my address book. So it's a bit funky. Like, there are all these edge cases that we should solve. So the solution here, it's this proposed one. In this bug, if you want to access bug 1660691, if you want to take a look at this bug, go on Bugzilla and search for remove red font color when entering new recipients, blah, blah. This is the proposed solution. So first of all, we completely remove the red highlight. We discarded it. When you're typing, if you're writing something, we shouldn't highlight it red if it doesn't match the address book. So remove that CSS. If the email is completely invalid, so it doesn't match a proper extension, doesn't match the structure of an email recipient, we highlight it red, like a bright red, and we use the same color as we use for like a warning notification sign when something is broken, or there's a spam, or something is being injected into your email, something very like high security issues. And then we use also an extra icon for visually impaired users, because visually impaired users and colorblind users, who cares that this is red? Like, they will see is a green, or they might see it as a different color. So that type of red, like only relying on colors, is not the 100% safe solution. So using an icon, and with this icon, we can also implement a tooltip. If you go on rollovers, that doesn't seem to be a valid address or mistyped address, something like that. And also, we can also use this other approach that if, for example, test at full valid doesn't have any icon, so it means it's inside our address book. If this one has, if this other address is not in our address book, we use a little icon to say, hey, do you want to add this into your address book? You want to add it because it's a new address. So we highlight the fact that it's a new address, and we're using this opposite approach. So showing icons or showing flags only if there's something wrong. If everything is correct and everything it's like all the addresses are in the address book, everything it's fine, like all these pills are clean. There's no icon, there's no highlight, there's no check mark or confirmation, because we want to reduce clutter. We don't want to have, imagine you have 20 addresses, and for all your 20 addresses, you have a green check mark that says correct. It's too much. It's like, it's not necessary. This is a very common approach when you have complex interfaces. If you want to highlight something, only highlight the mistakes or only highlight the exceptions. Don't highlight the normal state. Normal state should be plain and blank. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's a good implementation? Do you like it? But this is what we're going to do today. We're going to try to implement this and see if it works. And I'm going to show you how to code something super cool for your own, if you want to, I don't know, contribute to Thunderbird and code this. But yeah, so what happens, the workflow is that there's the bug report that was done 4 months ago. So yeah, we're fast. I do a proposal. Hey, what do you think about that? I ask for feedback. I get positive feedback. I get This is the theme module owner. I get a positive feedback from the reporter of this bug. This looks good, and I explain everything. We should do this because blah blah blah, and we try to identify edge cases or something else that is probably missing. But yeah, this is what we are going to do. So let's open our terminal. And let's close the current version of Thunderbird. Let's close this so we don't interfere. So in the COM repository, the COM repository is the repository inside the Mozilla source code, like the Firefox source code, where we have all our stuff. Like COM is literally just Thunderbird. So it's a subfolder inside Firefox, basically Thunderbird. And here we use Mercurial. I personally use Mercurial queues to create. It's basically, if you use Git, it's like a Git branch, a Mercurial queue. So you create a queue and you add, every time you code something, your patch gets updated in that queue, and you can remove, add a queue, export a queue. It's like, yeah, it's just a Git branch. So let's do queue new. And we use the type of format. You can see here also the autocomplete suggests the last time that I checked. We use this sort of format when we write a new Mercurial queue or a new bookmark. We start with bug, and then we use the bug number. So automatically, when we push the code into our repository, when we build some, the bug number in the commit message gets recognized and gets highlighted, so it's clickable. So when, for example, this is our 3 header, here we push something, you see the bug number here. Let me increase the bug number. This is the commit message and the bug number is clickable. So you can click directly and go into the bug number, which is super duper helpful. What I was doing, yeah, I need to finish writing. So bug, paste the bug number, and then write a description of what this patch will be. Remove the no match red highlight in compose autocomplete, and improve the invalid and new email pills, something like that, maybe. After a period, we flag the R, which means review, and UIR for UI review. Usually it's good to keep this blank because we don't know, you probably don't know who's going to be your reviewer, but here I already know who's going to do my review. So I know the usernames of the other developers that are going to do my reviews. And then this is the commit message. After the commit message, we need to write the actual name of the queue. It's going to be the name of the patch file that we export. So usually you can write it whatever you want. Usually I like to write the bug name, the bug number first, and then a little, like, I don't know, a little title for this. Actually, there's a remove the no match red highlight in compose autocomplete and improve the invalid and new email pills UI. Let's do this. Compose pills or recipient pills. Yeah. Recipient pills match. Something like that. This is the name of the patch. So yeah, Serja, thanks for the yeah, there's the typo there. Okay, we created our queue. So if we do queue series here, we have the list. This is the list of all the things that I'm currently working on. These not highlighted, is light gray, are all the patches that are not applied. It's basically if you do a Git branch and you see all the branches that you currently have, and this is your current branch. So I'm currently using and doing edits on this queue, the just one that I created. So in here, now we have the queue, we have our source code ready, we have our terminal ready, and Mercurial is ready. Now, how do we identify what to change? It's very, very simple. So first of all, we launch Thunderbird from our terminal. These won't work if you launched Thunderbird as an application normally, but the good thing about Thunderbird is that Thunderbird is just Firefox, and Firefox has a developer's tool inspector. So whenever you need to identify a section or you identify something, you can literally simply open a developer's tool inspector and inspect the application like it was a web page. So I'm gonna hit Control-Shift-I, or you can go into the menu and look at that. You recognize this, right? This is the web inspector. But instead of inspecting the web, I'm inspecting the Thunderbird interface, and I can select things around. Isn't it super cool? So if something doesn't work in this section, I can expect here, oh, this is the input, and this is the CSS that manages the input. This is the CSS file that styles the input, and I can change things on the fly. So I can change the border, I can change the box sizing, whatever. I can, what is that? Well, an input field is pretty standard, so it doesn't change much. But for example, if I don't like this image here, I can remove it. I can see how it looks without the image, or I can change the URL of a custom image. So it's pretty easy because it's a web interface, Thunderbird. It's pretty easy to edit. So in order to see like what happens in the compose area, we are gonna open a compose message, but the compose message is on a different window, so we cannot inspect it directly with the inspector. So what we can do in the inspector, we can open the list of all our open windows, and we can select the messenger compose.html. So here now we are selected, we can select what's happening here. So here, if I write something completely wrong that it's not part of the address book, it gets highlighted red. So why it gets highlighted red? Let's check what happens in the CSS. We select this area here, and the input, you can see the input as a CSS color called HTML input no match equal through, or highlight no matches equal through, with a color red. So this is the CSS attribute that matches this thing. And we could potentially just access the CSS and remove it, but it's not correct, because these highlight no matches, this type of CSS attribute is global. So it's not specific for our compose field, but it's specific for every single HTML input. So if we change this here, we affect every single HTML input. We don't want to do that. We only want to avoid these in the attribute. So here we have these attribute highlight no matches. And if we remove these attribute, look at that. The color is black. So we don't have the red highlight. So the thing that we have to do in the HTML input, we need to say to our compose window, hey, don't highlight the no matches, because we don't need that. So how do we find these in the source code? Simply, we know that these has an ID attribute. So we copy these to address input. We access our code editor. We do a global search to address input. Look at that, what we have here. Get element by ID. There you go. We are in the messenger compose window, and this is our XHTML input. Sorry, HTML input. We use this HTML input prefix because this is not an HTML type window, but it's a XUL window. XUL is a sort of like high-level HTML. It's something that we are deprecating and we're removing, so it's going to turn everything into regular HTML. But as you can see with the XUL, we can use like label hboxes or image, these tags that don't really exist in HTML, but it's something that it's going to be removed. But here, we are here, and we have this HTML input that it's an autocomplete. So this is autocomplete. It's basically a custom element, but it's something that probably I'm going to explain you in the future. But let's say here, let me resolve autocomplete search parameter, type class force complete. So in this input here, we don't have the highlight on no match, which is here, right? is let's reopen here. Let's go back. Highlight no matches. So this one is not declared in the source code. So it's something that probably gets declared in JavaScript when we initialize this. So we can search for highlight no matches. And there you go. We have a bunch of different things. So we have in the mail compose here, mail recipients area, highlight no matches. There you go. Yes. Set up autocomplete input, highlight no matches, set up autocomplete input, highlight no matches. Yeah, there you go. So we have here what we're doing here. So in the mail widget, this is the mail recipients area custom element. This is a little bit complicated, but bear with me for a second. So what we're doing here, basically in the mail recipients area, which is the compose, we are looping through all the input fields that need to have an autocomplete set up, because we don't set up the autocomplete directly in the HTML, but we automatically generated on startup via JavaScript. And here we're passing in the setup autocomplete the, hey, do we need to highlight the no matches? And we do it based on the Boolean preference that a user might have. In the autocomplete, highlight no matches. But these highlight no matches works for other section, works for other autocompletes, but we don't want to make it like, we don't want to use it for these the recipient input field. So we can brutally delete this and delete these in the input. So setup autocomplete doesn't need the highlight no matches. So in the setup autocomplete input, also we remove these highlight no matches. And then since we're changing this method, we're not passing the attribute setup autocomplete. We do here setup autocomplete. We remove the highlight no matches, and here we have highlight no matches. Requested input isn't matched. We don't need this. And here we still have a preference, but we will probably be able to remove this preference. So in the mailnews.js file, these are all your Thunderbird preferences, those that you can access and toggle true or false or change. These probably, since we won't be using it anymore, we can just remove it because it's not useful to have it if this preference is not tackled anymore, which is good. This we have a little ESLint highlight. Oh, it's not defined. It's actually defined, but ESLint didn't pick it up, so it's totally fine. And the setup autocomplete here, since we are changing this method, we should write a comment by using the JAS docs format. This is something that we didn't used to do before. Whenever we write a method, we just write it and whatever. Like there was the old, how can I say, like the old concept of you don't need comments. The code should explain itself, should be clear and clean, as clean as possible to explain itself, which is not a good it's not a good approach. It's not great. So in reality, we started applying JS code to pretty much every method, especially a method that set up autocomplete input. Yeah, it's pretty clear, but why we're doing these autocomplete search parameter and on pop-up open, what are we doing here? And these are the comments. So simply write set up the autocomplete method, the autocomplete search parameters to the composer input fields, something like that. And here we the composer input field, and the input is just what is that? It's an HTML item, object, parameter, what it might be. It's an object, is the HTML. I mean, it's an element. It's an HTML element. Yeah, it's an HTML element. it's a node element. So yeah, this is just an HTML element. And this is something that it's not super important. It's not absolutely vital, but it's good for example, for contributors or developers that are not part of the core team. When they're using these, maybe the input, they expect the input to be the ID of the input field or whatever. So writing what type of parameter we're expecting to have, it's good. We should solve this with TypeScript if we implement TypeScript, but we mostly use vanilla JavaScript to not rely on anything else. So it's pretty standard. So if we do that and we save, in our terminal, we shut down these. If we do hqdiff, we can see in our queue all the difference that we made in the code. So you see what we deleted and what we updated, or we changed new. So we update just a few things, and we can compile again because we did our changes. Come on. Okay, and then run TB. We can run the code, and oh, we have draft here. No, just delete this draft. I don't need this draft. Inbox. Write a new email message, and if I write something wrong, doesn't highlight. It's not highlighted. Still no match, and I have no autocomplete. But at least we don't have the red. Perfect. Now we have to update the second step. So we need to change these highlight red that is not super clear, which should match what we have here in the, for example, when we cannot decrypt. Yes, this is the sort of like red warning. It's something that it's wrong and it shouldn't be there that we're using. So we can select the color picker and select the color here. I'm using a elementary S application called Color Picker that I can just pick a color whatever I want in my desktop. And I can check D70002 and I can see where are we using here in the account manager, fill status error. Okay, great. We're using this variation here for these colors, which is phenomenal. Then what we can do, we can check the CSS of those fields. So once again, we can open the inspector, something that I should have done before, but whatever. Let's open a new address here, new compose, and write a wrong email address. Let's select the message compose window and select these thing and see where is this tiled. Mail address pill dot error. So this is a simple CSS in the messenger compose.css. So we can search address pill error in our source code here. Perfect. And here we have basically in the messenger compose CSS all the different variation. And what we have to be aware of and we have to be sure is that these CSS changes based on the theme that you're using. Because if we switch to dark mode, that color should change and should adapt properly to dark mode as well. So let's be sure in the CSS file, we already have this variation. See, like this is the standard. We handle the hover and focus, not while we're editing, because if we're editing the peel, it means the peel is open and we don't want to highlight it in red because it's annoying. And then we do some color variation. So if it's on bright text, it means that we are on a dark theme, because the bright text, this is a tag that we use in the toolbar, and to detect like if we are on a bright text, it means that the background is light. So we need to do this, and then when we select it, we do this even if it's not, even if it's an error, we use the highlight color. Maybe we could change that, but yeah, the color that we use is, oh no, D2700. Okay, this is the color that we're using. Let's do this. Okay, so color, we want this to be completely white because we're using, oh no, sorry, I'm changing the wrong one. So address bill error. The color, we want to be completely white because we're using a highlight red color. Then if we go on rollover, we should do a little bit of color variation here. Oops. Oh man. Okay. So here we can do a little highlight. One thing that we could do, we could actually check the these color changes. We could actually check we have a design system that is not super duper updated, but it's kind of useful sometimes. Is the Photon design system for Thunderbird. We have our color grid. We can check the reds, and here we're using this red. You can see the D7002 for the background of a warning, and we have the readability values here, so AA. We can go darker red and improve the readability also. So we can copy these, reaccess our code editor, and changes to these super duper dark red, which we'll see if it's enough. So since we only changed CSS, we shouldn't need to recompile. See? So we might be good with that. Boom, look at that. Yeah, see, we didn't need to recompile. Oh, this is way better. This is way more useful. One thing that we could also do here, it's maybe because red on, like white on red is might be improved a little bit. We might, no, it's okay. For now, let's leave it at that. Let's add an icon. So an icon, we can add it in many different ways. We can add it as a, like with simple CSS, we can add it, or we can actually add it in JavaScript code. For these icons, since this icon might be on and off, or we can have it, not have it, like, I'm getting confused. Example, if I write something wrong, this is definitely an error. But if I double click, I access this, and this background color should be different. But here, if I replace it with a correct email address, this is not an error anymore. So this is correct. So automatically, we're already doing it that we are adding and removing the error class if an address is correct or is not correct. So the fact that if we implement the exclamation mark as a CSS, we already we're set. We're already set. We don't need to worry about running another JavaScript code or do another check to see we need to remove the icon that we implemented in JavaScript. This is correct or not. So we have a good sort of like easier approach in handling this with the background icon. So we can close this, and we can do it by not editing bright text. I think in the, let's do something like that. The bright text variation, we remove this. Not editing. Let's add this. So yeah, this should be good. So what I did, I removed the variation for the bright text for the dark variation, and I also removed the CSS for the when we edit a pill. So if I write something and then I double click edit, it's clear because we're editing. We don't need that red highlight annoying thing. And also we can check if we change these to dark theme. Oh, it overwrites it. So we need that actually, because these need to stay highlighted, which is good. I think I checked. So also we can, since we are going to maintain the same, we can simply copy this and extend the CSS declaration and not repeat this. And the hover as well, over and focus, we can do exactly the same. So we can copy these two declarations here and paste them here. So we remove the duplicate of declaring something. So if we save this, also in this case, we just change CSS, so we don't need to recompile anything. Right. Blah, blah, blah. Boom. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Look at this. Boom. And if we select it, it overwrites the selection. This is good. We have this. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, Colin says we definitely need built-in lighten and darken function in CSS. Yeah, we should. We should do a lot of things in CSS we're not actually doing. We're trying to keep it like plain and simple, but yeah, this should highlight dark, and it doesn't seem that it's highlighting dark. Why is that so? Ooh. Are you guys tired? I'm very, very tired. Bright text, error, hover, and focus not editing, background color, yes. Selected, address, identity. Let me take a look why this thing is not actually highlighting properly. So these, when I go on hover, should have a darker background, not lighter. So if I select this, if I say, hey, force the hover. Oh, box shadow, because we use the box shadow. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We use the box shadow paradigm. So in order to animate properly, we use the box shadow to highlight. So it's correct. That's what we need. Yeah, it's okay. And if you select the lights, okay, perfect. Okay, discard changes. I don't want to go back to the light theme. That I'm gonna tell you something, and everyone's gonna hate me. I don't like dark mode. It's so hard, especially like for emails or when you're writing something. I mean, it works on a text editor. It works on a code editor, but doesn't really work for me on an email client. Or it's like if you have Google Docs or Microsoft Word with a dark background and you write text with a dark background. It's just, it's too much. I'm just chill. I prefer light mode or like default, not dark mode. I don't know. I don't understand hold the hype for dark mode. Sorry, I know I lost credibility by saying this now. Okay, so we took care of this. Now we need to take care of our little background image. So we have that warning sign, and the warning sign, we can check what's it called in our source code. So if we access the source code here in the com and the mail, themes, shared, mail, icons, alrighty. We should have a warning or an alert called here. These are all the icons that we're using there. You're looking at the magic under the hood. W warning. Let's search for warning. No. Alert. No. Okay. I hate this. It's very simple. Once again, let's use the inspector to see. There you go. So we open this, we check the inspector, we check this icon, and was the error.svg or error.svg? Why is different? Interesting. Error.svg. Says it highlights as a different icon. It's not. Certificate error. No. Okay. Interesting. So error.svg is that. Okay. And that doesn't seem right. Notification critical, I guess is this one. Okay. Whatevs. Let's give it a try. We can copy it in the messenger compose here in the section that we added in the address bill. So here we can do background image. Background image, let's see if it works. Background image, URL, and then background repeat, no repeat. Background position, we can say left center, and then we can say padding in line. Oh, because we're pushing it to the left, so it's padding left. We do 20 pixel. So we create an off space. Let's see if it works. I'm not sure it will work, but yeah, let's give it a try. New message. Boom. Oh, there you go. Yeah, see, it's not the warning that we need, but yeah, it's okay. It's left. Oh no, I have to put it right. So let's do something like that. Let's open the inspector and let's edit this in real time because it's easier instead of guessing CSS. So let's copy these. Okay. So here it's padding right, and then position we can say 0 pixel. It's right. Okay. And then we can use a fill, current color, mods. I think I have to do something to force mocks context properties here. I'm not sure this is gonna work, actually. I think we need to do it in JavaScript. Oh, no, it works. Okay. Yeah. So you can see like the color wasn't properly matching. So I use this CSS attribute that it has a mods prefix because it's just for Mozilla. Basically, we're forcing whenever there's an SVG in a container and you want to inherit the fill color as a text color, in my case white, we can use a context property fill. So we force the SVG to update the fill attribute in order to, and then we specify fill context like current color. So we match, or like we could do even inherit if I'm not wrong. No, we don't. It's current color. That's the proper declaration. Okay. We have this. We need to give it a little space to the right. All right, minus 10 pixel. Calc 100% minus 3 pixel. Alrighty. Little trick here. And then 21, 2, 3. No, 21 is fine. There you go. Let's copy all these attributes because I'm lazy. I don't want to rewrite them. Where was I? Yeah, padding left, no background position. There you go. Call okay, 100%. And I think instead of padding inline, we should padding right. We should padding inline end, because these 100% might be flipped to the left if we are on left to right reading, so in other languages. And the padding inline end and start attribute automatically match the text orientation, so left to right or right to left. And we always know that this is the end. It's the color at the end, so that's perfect. The padding at the end, not right or left. That's great. So okay, we did this. We need to understand why error.svg is not the right one. It's warning.svg. Yeah, I think it's warning.svg. Actually, let's do it right now because we can. Let's do it right now. Instead of error, let's do warning. Yay, it's the correct icon. That's awesome. Okay. That's great. Like it. Me likey. Okay. Okay, this is good. As usual, I'm coding. I see your messages, but I will reply to your messages after a while. Now we're coding, so I cannot distract myself. Q refresh. So here now, if we do this and we check that we're writing a wrong address, then we go here and we edit to a correct address. Yeah, that's perfect. The CSS changes, the color changes, the icon disappears, and blah, blah, blah. So this is good. This is good. Let's see how he behaves in dark mode. Nice, that's good. That's pretty clear. In dark mode, you can see like one of the issues of dark mode is that we don't fully control the font weight. So these light font, regular font sizing and font weight is not super duper clear and readable. But having a big ass warning sign in there, it's good. Like it gives you like, hey, what's the problem here? And of course, the send button is disabled because you have a wrong address inputted here. So this is phenomenal. Okay, so I think we're pretty good. I think I'm gonna take a small break, but this is good. So one thing that we can do here, I did a Q refresh, so now we have all our changes that we implemented are inside our patch. And we can review the changes. Perfect. So usually here at this point, let's say the patch is, I know it's not completed. We didn't implement this like add to icon and then implement icon and blah, blah, blah. But the thing that we can do, you can simply do HGQ export or like export qtip and specify the location of what the file of the export you're doing. Basically using export qtip, it just Mercurial recognizes which patches you have applied, in my case just this one, and grabs the tip. So grabs the topmost updated variation of those patches and export them everything together into a file that you can name .patch.diff. So we can do hg export qtip, specify a location, and usually you specify the same name of the patch that you're using and you give it an extension .diff, .patch, whatever you want. So now that we are here, we can access the export here, and we have our patch here. So in the diff, we have a full diff of all the things that we want to remove, the things that we want to add, and you control what this patch inherited. And you also check the header here, because it should have your name and your account, should have the proper date, and should have the commit message, which is the correct one. Perfect. Now that we have this, we could potentially upload it to our Mozilla Firefox. Where is it? Here. We can potentially upload it to our bug and ask for a review, or we can push it to do a try run. But probably this is something that we are gonna do later on, another time. I don't know. Let me go through a bunch of questions. If you guys have questions, just write it down and let me know if you have any questions. So let me go through the questions. Just a second. Let me grab a sip of water because I'm super thirsty. Alrighty. Looks awesome. Yo, hello everyone. Danny says there's a color mix proposition on GitHub in the CSS. Oh, in the W3C. That would be awesome. I miss the Vala color mix options. It's pretty great. Please add the, so Vinny asks, please add the color option for different mail accounts in Thunderbird. There was a superb add-on for this, but after last update, it's gone. Yes, so the architecture of the add-ons changed, and it wasn't because of us. Firefox decided to deprecate and not support those type of old approaches to write add-ons. We actually decided, as Thunderbird a theme, decided to support them for an extra year, all by ourselves. And it took us, it took us a lot of resources and things. And this year we couldn't continue supporting them because we don't have the architecture and the capacity to support them anymore. So that's why it was deprecated. If that add-on doesn't work anymore, you can ask the owner to update it to the new code. It's pretty straightforward to update to an add-on. It's so much easier to read mails having 30-40 mailboxes with different background color for email. Do you mean the full email or other things? Yeah. You can search on Bugzilla if there's already a bug report for that. Yeah, exactly. Milan Kesser, are there unit tests to run? Yes, there are. We have a lot of tests. Actually, let's run a test. Do you guys want me to run a test? I don't know how it's going to look because I don't think the test will run in the proper location. It will run like something like that. So let's run a small test. Oh, Vinny says the owner said he won't do this. He won't update. Oh, that's a shame. You can ask, go on Bugzilla and open a bug and like add some screenshots to it and explain like why do you think that feature it's important to you and what might be useful. We already have some very small, very minor customization options for the accounts or like the folder icons. You can customize the colors of the folder icons. We don't have the customization for the folder, the account names, but we are thinking to implement that as an option. So yeah. Milan, to verify changes you did. Yes, we have some unit tests in place. So let's access the source code. We have a lot of tests here. We use two different things. Actually, let me check. I don't remember how many things we use. So here we use, first of all, we use ESLint to verify that everything is correct. Then we lint the internationalization, we lint Python, we lint the source code basically. Yeah, we lint everything. Then the tests that we run are the G tests to see if it builds. Then we run Marionette tests for the front end. Then we run Moki test. We are switching from Marionette to Moki tests. Oh no. We're keeping Marionette and Moki tests. Yeah, we removed modes mill test. And then we have XPC shell tests. So we have all these architectures in place. And the Moki tests are a lot. But if I'm not wrong, we have some Moki tests for the compose area. Yeah, we absolutely have Moki tests for the compose area. Let's find them. So it should be browser _ compose test browser preference message windows browser composition should be here. Yeah, there you go. So in the folder tests browsers composition, we have a million different things, and the address widget should be the correct one. Check address type, check email address, check address type, collapse pop, add pop account, remove pop account, test address, message identity. Yeah, these are all the tests. So whenever we do a push to the test server or we do a push to the actual server, all these tests are automatically run, but of course we can run them locally as well. So I think we can run the send button test because we have here an error to see. Yeah, we check if the send button is disabled or enabled. So when we input invalid recipient or a fake recipient, the send button should be invalid. Try some other invalid recipient strings, random string, there is no email. Yeah, all these things. So let's run the browser send button. So in order to run this, we do Moki test, con mail test, browser composition, and then browser _ send button.js. And let's see what happens here. Let's see if I can, does it run at the center? Regenerating the backend. I never run tests during live streaming. I don't know what's gonna happen. Probably you will not see anything, but okay, it's not center, but you can see like the code automatically. I cannot move the window, otherwise I interrupt the test. But you can see the code is testing a million different variation, like opens, create an auto recipient, create a fake address, changes the address, checks everything, and it runs, actually interacts with the UI, and then gives you the report here. So we run 133 checks, subsets, and one test, expected result 133, and expected result 0. So everything, like, we know that with our CSS change, we didn't cause any issue in the main core component of the send button. Here we have the full report of everything that we did. We changed things, we pre-filled some addresses, we put some fake addresses, and the result was false. It's supposed to be equal to false through blah blah blah, and we have all this thing. Pretty good, right? Yeah, it's awesome. It's incredible. It takes a long ass time because we have a lot of tests. I don't think we have 100% test coverage, but we are trying to. Just because this is a massive application, and whenever we change something, we almost every time accidentally affect another section because it's just so big. So, oh, there's my dog is dreaming. He's barking in his dream. So cute. Yeah, I don't think you can hear him, but so cute. Nice. It's getting very angry while he sleeps. Oh my god. Alrighty. Let me check other questions here. Will you teach Laravel and Jetstream? I'm thinking, Faraz, I'm thinking to do a Laravel series, but I'm focused on other things right now, so I'm not sure I have time. Milan says, would be interesting to introduce TypeScript and see what kind of things it would find. Yes, absolutely. We already have a lot of lintings and things in place, and we are planning, since we're implementing JS docs with the proper parameters and returns, we are thinking to use JS docs to run a lint and be sure that the parameters that are getting passed to the method are those ones that are represented in the JS docs. There are a couple of core developers that they like to use TypeScript a lot, and we're considering it, but we are not 100% sure. We at Dynatrace, after we introduced TypeScript, made our life much easier. Yeah. Everyone, it's saying that it's suggested to use TypeScript, so we're probably gonna use it. But yeah, so we also run some tests, and we just run a single file in a single subsection, so we have a million different tests, which would be interesting to run all different tests for this thing. So let's push to the try server and see how everything runs. So first of all, we do Q serious, yes, HQ new. We create a new patch, like we are creating a new queue, a new patch, like a new Git branch. But this new Git branch or this new queue should be named with some specific tags. So first of all, we call it try column, because our try server will recognize the name of the patch and will run something, will trigger something based on all the things that we want to run. So here we're saying do a build and run which platform. The -p is for the platform. You can say run only on Linux, on Mac OS, or Windows. We want to run all the platforms, and which unit tests you want to do. We can say run only Moki test or XCP shell. Let's run all. And then we specify an artifact, or actually I specify an artifact, because artifact builds are builds that don't need to rebuild the C++ code. Since we just changed CSS and we updated some JavaScript file, it's only the front end, so we don't need to rebuild the entire CSS code. And by doing an artifact build, first, the build is going to be way faster because we don't need to rebuild the entire core. And second, the artifact build will grab automatically a pre-built version of Firefox that works and has no issues, so we know that we're starting from a clean slate that works. So we implement this. HQ serious, we see now we have our recipient PLs and the try run, and then we do an out to the try CC server. These are all shortcuts that I created, but basically by doing HG out, we connect to the TryCom Central, and we see how many patches are in the queue. So we can see if by pushing to the try server, we have other patches on top of ours that are in the queue, and we could potentially say, okay, I don't want to run them now because I have 20 patches on top of me, and I will risk to have like errors and stuff that are not related to my patches. But in this situation, we're pretty good because it's only my patch and the artifact build Q-tip, like the try run patch that I want to do. So that's perfect. So now we can push to the try server and push the tip. So we're saying to the try server grabs everything that I have in my tip. So everything that I have applied. So in our case, the recipient PLs patch and the try run. And we push to the try CC. After pushing it, connects to the try-com central. It does all the push and tells you a report. Okay, view your changes here. It gives you a couple of revisions changes, so you can check what changed, what not, and then you can have the link here. Before continuing, let's pop and remove the try push, so we don't risk to update our source code on the try push. I did it a bunch of times in the past, which is not great. But now we can go in the TryCom Central, refresh it. I don't know if it's already there. Great. It's pretty slick. So here we just push to the try server. There's my account name and recognizes the commit message to be try build all blah blah blah. And we can also, so it already started. There's the Gecko decision task, basically checks all the setup and all the configurations to be sure that everything is properly set up to do a successful build. The artifact builds, you can see here, always fail the G test because this suit of tests is not compatible with artifacts. So we already know that the G test will fail. But let's see how it goes, and we can expect. So see, because I wrote my commit message, now I have the link to the bug. If I click the bug, it opens Bugzilla directly to the bug, which is super duper handy. And then I have my revision, so you can inspect what was removed, what was added, and all the files that have been affected. And it tells you the date and everything. And this is great for to find regressions, because since it's a massive application, sometimes we code, we ship a new code, we ship a new feature, and then after 2 months a user, hey, these very obscure feature that no one uses but I use every day stop working all of a sudden. We literally can go, which file we edited, what was the revision of that file. So we can go, we have an awesome tool called SearchFox, which is basically like doing a GitHub search of your source code. We can do in our Com Central. And let's say we change what was the file? The message compose common.js file. Let's say that there was a feature there that stopped working. So we do that search and we have it mail. Okay, we open it and we check this is the source code. But we have a super cool tool here that we can say, hey, give me the revision history. So if we click on log, it basically lists all the patches and all the bugs and all the source codes that touched that file. And we have the full history of every time that file was updated and it was changed. So we can literally say, oh, it was updated last time. When did these features stop working? Stop working on December 5th. Okay, so we have a recent patch that was shipped on December 4th by me. So let's say the differences. What did we change? Oh, we changed that section and we changed these. Oh, maybe these affected that feature and blah, blah, blah. Oh, this good stuff. So it's great. I love it. Milan says, we use Jira and Bitbucket, also recognize ticket number. It's super convenient. Yeah, basically, Mozilla uses all these tools like SearchFox and the tree herder. So, like, it uses all these in-house tools because it's been around for 20 plus years. And before, like 20 years ago, Jira wasn't a thing. Bitbucket wasn't a thing. Git wasn't as powerful as it was today. So the Mozilla developers built all these tools and open sourced them for everyone to use it. Also, Bugzilla was one of its kind before GitHub wasn't as powerful as it is right now. And since the source code is so massive, we're still quote unquote stuck with this tool. But because we're stuck with this tool, we can change them and update them the way we want. We don't need to pay for Microsoft or withstand the changes to the platform that we have no control at. We can fully control this thing and we can manage it. There's a bit of a cost for like the deployment cost or server cost of all these things, but it's manageable. So yeah, let's go back to the try run and see how it's going. It's going to take a while. Yeah, it's decision task. It's not super fast because it's building for all the versions of Windows, Mac OS, Linux. So it's going to take a while. But yeah, you can go check it out if you want. Okay, Milan says, are there sprints or when you merge and it's built, it ships automatically? There are sprints. They're called merge days, which they happen once a month, if I'm not wrong, when like a massive dump of things from Firefox arrives and we have to merge it. But usually we like the Com Central, the main repository, the code gets pushed 2 or 3 times a day, usually at 10 a.m., at 4 p.m., and at 3 a.m., if I'm not wrong. Like, the Firefox developers push this thing, and after an hour we pull it and push our thing because we rely on the Firefox side. So basically, automatically, whenever we push, it's built and shipped as a nightly or like a daily. It's like you use Firefox nightly, Firefox daily, and every day you get a new version. So that's done automatically, but the nightly are highly unstable, and sometimes there are breakages. So, but yeah, we're releasing nightly for developers or for contributors, for translators. So whenever there's a new string, the translator can get on board months and months in advance before we release a stable version. But yeah, it's almost everything. It's automatic, and we try to avoid sprints. We try to smooth things out and have a programmatic, consistent push release date. But most of the time it's not respected because a lot of things go wrong. Sup, Incognito. No beer. Oh, no beer. Hey, how's it going? Long time no see. It's going great. How are you, man? Good to see you on the chat. Okay. I think this is gonna take. Oh, it passed. The decision task was successful. So now it's building. We're not gonna wait for. It's gonna take like half an hour to build everything and compile, but at least we know all the tests will be run and everything is good. So I think we can call it a day. We are at the end of this beautiful live streaming. Also in this beautiful live session, we see a glimpse of the process of having a bug report or something that doesn't really work, creating a patch and testing it, and submit it for a full test run. And I will continue working on this patch and implement the other extra things. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We did it for more than an hour of live. Wow, that's a long time. Okay, that's pretty much it for this video. As usual, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Check the source code of Thunderbird, and be sure to stay tuned because I'm gonna release awesome new tutorials in the next week. I'm gonna record them during the weekend and publish it during the week, so it's gonna be great. Thank you everyone for participating as usual. It's beautiful to see a lot of known faces or known nicknames more than faces here. But yeah, thank you so much guys, and until the next one, as usual, happy coding.